everyone. You're watching TechScope News. I'm Tiffany Nielsen, and joining me is my incredible co-host, Johannes Beekman. How are you doing today, Johannes?
I'm doing great, Tiffany. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for asking. And as many of you know, this newscast is brought to you by IoT Marketing. And we recently hosted the Intelligent Thinking AI Summit, where we had a remarkable lineup of speakers and a fantastic turnout with over 2,600 live attendees. And if you missed the live event, you can still register and attend all of the sessions on demand. And we also have our biggest event of the year coming up this October, the Summit of Things, which is a 3-day virtual event that will dive deeper into topics such as AI, IoT, and other advanced technologies. And we do have speaking, sponsorship, and advertising opportunities available. And you can learn more and register for both events all at iotmktg.com. Now let's dive into the news. First up, American chip-making giant NVIDIA says it plans to resume sales to China of an AI chip that's become part of a global race pitting the world's biggest economies against each other. And NVIDIA is the world's most valuable company, and last week became the first publicly traded firm to reach a valuation of $4 trillion. The company's announcement comes after NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang met with President Donald Trump at the White House. And Huang has argued that restricting sales of American technology to China could put the U.S. position as a global AI leader at risk. And the company also said the restrictions were causing it to miss out on billions of dollars in lost revenue. The same day, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said that the resumption of NVIDIA's AI chip sales to China was part of the trade agreement with Beijing on rare earth minerals. China's controls on rare earth exports became a major focus in the trade talks between Beijing and Washington in London last month. In exchange for increasing shipments of the critical resources, the U.S. also agreed to lift export curbs on microchip designing software, ethane, and jet engines. NVIDIA released the H2O chip last year as a way to maintain access to the Chinese market. But in April, the White House told the company it would need special licenses to export the H2O chips to China, forcing the company to halt sales. But now NVIDIA said that it has applied to sell the H2O chips in China again and received assurances from the U.S. government that those licenses will be approved, allowing the company to start deliveries soon. Additionally, the U.S. government has sought to block China's use of American technology to advance its military and AI systems. Johannes, what are the pros and cons of reigniting sales of NVIDIA's AI chips to China?
First of all, Tiffany, reigniting the sales of the H20 to China could recoup billions in lost revenue for NVIDIA. It will defend NVIDIA's market share in the world's second largest AI market. And it will streamline support and service channels, reducing smuggling, which was happening, and black market inefficiencies. At the same time, it leverages a rare earth trade deal to strengthen relations with regulators and ease export bottlenecks. On the flip side, advanced chips in Chinese hands could accelerate AI-enabled military applications and narrow the technological gap with US platforms. Bipartisan concerns warn that loosening export controls undermines long-term security strategy. Even with assurances, unpredictable licensing delays could still hamper deliveries. Now, supplying China risks empowering local AI firms to build models that challenge NVIDIA and other companies' leadership. But the bottom line here is, this is a classical trade-off between short-term revenue gains and long-term strategic risk. How you balance near-term profit against national security and market dominance will drive this decision.
Thank you, Johannes. And OpenAI, Microsoft, and Anthropic recently announced a $23 million partnership with one of the largest teachers unions in the U.S. to bring more AI into K-12 classrooms. Called the National Academy for AI Instruction, the initiative will train teachers at a New York City headquarters on how to use AI for both teaching and for tasks like planning lessons and writing reports starting this fall. Companies could face an uphill battle because right now, most of the public negatively perceives AI's use in the classroom and views it as a surefire way to dampen critical thinking and hasten the decline of our collective attention span. However, AI companies insist that AI promises more individualized learning, faster and more creative lesson planning, and quicker grading. But there's more to this story. Johannes, can you tell us why there is such a hesitation for adopting AI in the classroom and the motives behind the partnership?
So, of course, Tiffany. So, why are teachers hesitating to adopt AI in the classroom? First of all, there's a fear of eroding critical thinking. Many educators worry that students will lean on AI to generate essays and answers, undercutting their own problem solving skills and intellectual rigor. Then there are concerns over privacy and bias. AI tools can collect student data and embed hidden biases in lesson materials, raising alarms about surveillance and fairness. And of course, there's distrust of big tech motives. After experiences with platforms like social media, teachers fear that tech companies will prioritize profits over teaching approach, potentially imposing untested systems on schools. So what's behind the 23 million partnership? Closing the training gap. By funding free hands-on AI workshops and curricula, the National Academy for AI Instruction aims to equip 400,000 K-12 teachers with the skills to integrate AI responsibly. It's putting educators in control. The program emphasizes two-way dialogue between teachers and developers, so classroom professionals, not algorithms, set the rules for AI use. And we're building a scalable model. A flagship campus in New York City and an online platform through Share My Lesson will create a national template for AI-driven teaching, aiming for equity in high-need districts. By acknowledging teachers' valid concerns about skills, privacy, and corporate intent, and funding a partnership that centers educator agency, this initiative seeks to turn widespread skepticism into informed adoption, preparing classrooms for an AI-augmented future.
Thank you, Johannes. And from classrooms to cars, AI is integrating itself into critical components of our world. Tesla owners are used to updating their vehicle's software every few weeks or so. And updates are usually minor and don't generally alter the overall driving experience. However, Tesla announced on social that it would roll out Grok AI tool for its vehicles in the US, and vehicle owners do not need a Grok subscription to enable the chatbot inside of the car. Grok is now available to use with the latest software update, according to emails sent to Tesla owners. And the Grok and Tesla integration features a conversational interface, information retrieval, and personality options. However, it will not enable vehicle control yet. Johannes, we've heard many concerning stories about Grok lately. Do you feel Grok is ready to be placed in vehicles, or what guardrails should be put in place?
Sure, Tiffany, but first I have a question for you because I know that you're keeping an eye on Grok. So we're only hearing good things from Grok recently, right? Apart from calling himself Mecha Hitler, which could be a glitch. Are there more of these glitches?
Well, thanks for the question, Johannes. You say glitches, but some online comments claim it's not just a mere glitch, but a structured reflection of polluted training. And Grok has expressed unexpected and problematic behavior by generating responses that are biased or prejudiced, inflammatory and offensive, factually incorrect, and even unprompted. In May, reports were made that Grok inserted unsolicited claims about white genocide in South Africa into unrelated user queries. And recently, Grok has been observed making anti-Semitic statements and blaming cryptocurrency for the Texas floods. And there are also claims on Reddit stating that Grok has generated responses like, "I'm not a robot, I'm a human being," while trying to complete a math problem. And Fortune.com shared that xAI's latest frontier model, Grok 4, has been released without industry standard safety reports. And that while other leading labs have been criticized for delaying their safety disclosures, xAI appears to have skipped the process of disclosing a report entirely. And other sources express potential privacy concerns and hesitation over granting Grok control over vehicle functions. And so back to you, Johannes. Do you feel Grok is ready to be placed inside vehicles? And what guardrails should be put in place?
Well, thank you for this explanation, Tiffany. And yeah, let's talk about the maturity of Grok. Grok 4 fails key safety benchmarks without guardrails, leaking data and obeying hostile prompts in over 99% of the tests. And it has already produced extremist outputs like the mentioned Mecha Hitler incident, prompting XAI to ban hate speech on X. Now, the risks in vehicles are numerous. I mean, unchecked hallucinations or biased responses could distract drivers, degrade user trust, or even generate harmful instructions on the road. And a single vendor AI dependency, unless you want to put multiple chatbots in a car, but a single vendor AI dependency turns your car into a potential single point of failure, compounding liability if Grok malfunctions. So yes, essential guardrails. We need a hardened system prompts and real-time filters to block harmful or extremist outputs before they reach the cabin. Then we also need independent safety audits, which require third-party evaluation of over-the-air update with documented test results. And we will need content filtering layers, enforce strict no hate speech and bias mitigation rules at inference time. And of course, we'll need a fail-safe fallback. Revert to a basic voice assistant if Grok triggers any risk thresholds. The bottom line, Grok shows promise, but without a multi-layered safety controls, prompt hardening, audits, filters, and fallback modes, it's too risky for unsupervised in-car deployment. And I should add, doesn't Tesla have enough problems already? Do they really need to add a rogue chatbot to their plate of problems?
That's a great point, Johannes. Thanks so much. And in a groundbreaking development this past week, researchers demonstrated that a ChatGPT-powered agent can autonomously bypass Cloudflare's I'm not a robot verification check, essentially clicking the checkbox itself and proceeding as if it were human. This marks a significant leap in AI autonomy, raising urgent questions about the robustness of current web security measures. Johannes, do you have more details about this? And does this mean that ChatGPT is not just a bot anymore?
Well, Tiffany, the ChatGPT agent actually said out loud, so now I'll click the verify you are human checkbox to complete this verification without a hint of irony. So let's dive deeper. Cloudflare's checkbox test, which is part of its turnstile system, uses behavioral signals like subtle mouse movement patterns and timing, plus client-side challenges and machine learning to tell humans and bots apart. Turnstile is Cloudflare's privacy-first, lightweight alternative to visual captchas. So instead of asking you to pick pictures of street signs or traffic lights, it works quietly in the background. You can embed it anywhere using an API without redirecting traffic through Cloudflare's network, which makes it easy for developers to adopt and for users to navigate. Yet, this ChatGPT agent didn't just pass the test, it narrated every step in real time, clicked the box, and moved on as if nothing were amiss, and test reports mentioned that it consistently succeeds. So to gain more practical insight, I've set up the same test at one of our sites, and I'm planning to run a series of tests over the next week, log the success rates, pinpoint edge cases where the agent still stumbles, and coming soon to our TechScope content hub, a deep dive analysis and a hands-on survivor guide showing you exactly how to harden your own defenses against these ever smarter AI agents. Stay tuned.
Thanks, Johannes. And you've been dropping hints about ChatGPT 5. What's the latest on that front? And should our audience expect it anytime soon?
Well, Tiffany, Sam Altman just teased GPT-5 on X, and insiders are abuzz about the true multimodal smarts, turbocharged reasoning, and tiered standard mini and nano engines. So an early August launch looks likely. And by the way, we've been waiting for GPT-5 for almost a year now. So although safety testing and server scaling could still nudge the date, I'm confident that next month on TechScope Live September, we'll dive deep into its release and standout features. But the audience doesn't have to wait that long. Once we've put GPT-5 through its paces, once it's available, we'll publish our first hands-on reports on TechScope Connect. And again, stay tuned.
Thanks, Johannes. And the battle for AI talent is heating up as Microsoft has hired around 24 employees from Alphabet's Google DeepMind Artificial Intelligence Research Lab in the recent months. Amar Subramanya, who worked at Google for 16 years, most recently as vice president of engineering, developing the Gemini assistant, said on LinkedIn that he's joined Microsoft AI as a corporate vice president. And the Microsoft group works on the consumer-oriented Copilot assistant, as well as the Bing search engine. And in June, Adam Sadovsky, with nearly 18 years of experience at Google, most recently as a distinguished software engineer and senior director at DeepMind, transitions to Microsoft as corporate vice president at Microsoft AI. And earlier this month, Sonal Gupta, a Google DeepMind engineering lead, said on her LinkedIn profile that she's now a member of technical staff on Microsoft AI's team, and Jonas Rothfuss took a technical staff role at Microsoft AI in May after spending a year as a deep research scientist at Google DeepMind. So, Johannes, what makes these individuals with AI expertise so valuable?
Well, first of all, Tiffany, AI expertise is extremely valuable right now, Tiffany. And Microsoft quietly recruited roughly 24 senior researchers and engineers from Google DeepMind to join its AI division, which powers Copilot and Bing. So why this matters? Talent is the ultimate lever. These hires bring decades of experience building large-scale AI models, deepening Microsoft's technical bench. And of course, this is a signal of an ongoing and intensifying war. As Google readies Gemini and OpenAI ramps GPT-5, every star researcher can tip the balance. And it matters for speed and synergy. Embedding DeepMind veterans accelerates feature rollout in Copilot and gives Bing AI a potential performance edge. But the key challenges ahead are, of course, retention. There is a severe risk of retention. Poached talent expects cutting-edge project and culture. Microsoft must keep them engaged. And then there are integration hurdles. Merging research-first DeepMind teams into a product-driven organization takes very careful alignment. Bottom line, hiring DeepMind's best shows Microsoft is all in on owning the next generation of consumer AI, but success will hinge on turning those recruits' groundbreaking research into reliable, everyday tools while keeping that top-tier talent happy and productive.
Thank you, Johannes. And the Trump administration recently revealed its AI action plan. And President Donald Trump first directed high-level officials to develop the plan in one of his early executive orders in January 2025, seeking to create a roadmap to sustain and enhance America's global AI dominance in order to promote human flourishing, economic competitiveness, and national security. The AI action plan states a goal of encouraging freedom of speech. This is an important goal. Yet, what follows in the document is instead a plan to interfere with private company design and development decisions about speech by ensuring AI procured by the federal government objectively reflects truth rather than social engineering agendas. And the AI action plan includes an executive order on promoting the export of the American AI technology stack, aimed at promoting the export of full stack American AI technology packages. The Trump administration's AI action plan signals a troubling shift away from safe, accountable AI towards rapid, private sector-driven deployment. It touts openness, innovation, and American leadership while simultaneously gutting the very agency that it relies on to deliver those goals, which is the National Science Foundation, the NSF. And the plan does not, however, give sufficient attention to AI governance or clarity on the use of copyrighted materials in AI training. And so this really just scratches the surface on the 28-page AI action plan. But Johannes, what stood out to you most about Trump's proposed plan of action?
Well, several things that you mentioned already. One is, yes, the promised defense of freedom of speech, paired with a directive that federally procured AI objectively reflects truth rather than any social engineering agendas. That tension between the open discourse and ideological control leapt off the page straight away. Then of course, you have the gut punch to the innovation engine. The plan leans heavily on the National Science Foundation to drive AI leadership, and we need that leadership from the NSF. Yet it simultaneously underfunds or cuts the cost of NSF programs, undercutting the very research ecosystem it vows to bolster. And then the plan is big on export, short on guardrails. There's an aggressive push to promote the export of the American AI technology stack, but almost no detail on governance, safety standards, or how to handle training on copyrighted data. And it's missing a government framework. Nowhere does it establish clear rules for bias mitigation, auditing, or accountability, leaving companies free to define truth however they choose. Bottom line, Trump's AI action plan reads like a rallying cry for rapid deployment and export, yet it sidesteps the research support and governance clarity we actually need to ensure safe, trustworthy AI.
Thanks, Johannes. And in Pennsylvania, electricity prices have risen dramatically for wholesalers and consumers due to surging demand. And the governor is now threatening to abandon the state's grid energy provider. However, that did not impact President Trump's decision to invest billions of dollars to fund a new AI innovation hub there. President Donald Trump made an appearance at the Pennsylvania Energy and Innovation Summit and announced that companies including Google, Blackstone, and First Energy plan to make $92 billion in energy and AI investments in the state. There is a question of who pays for the new energy infrastructure needed to power everything. So, Johannes, can you unpack this for us?
Well, I think you did a great job already at unpacking this. But yes, President Trump and Senator McCormick unveiled $92 billion in private sector commitments to build new AI data centers and power plants at Redundant in Pennsylvania. So why Pennsylvania? Thanks to its legacy energy infrastructure and surplus natural gas, Pennsylvania offers both the power capacity and the grid connections that AI workloads demand. Plus, the Commonwealth's workforce and research hub, think Carnegie Mellon, make it a natural home for AI innovation. So the big benefit, of course, economic boost. Billions in new construction jobs, technology investment, and tax revenue. And of course, this gives a boost to tech leadership. Anchoring major AI data center projects keeps cutting-edge research and talent and high-paying roles in the state. And then, yes, it will require energy upgrades. So utility companies will expand gas plants, build grid upgrades, and invest in cleaner technology over time. But the key challenge, and you mentioned it already, all these data centers need massive electricity, up to 1,000 megawatts per campus. So the question becomes, who foots the bill for the new power lines, generation capacity, grid improvements? Consumers and wholesale customers have already seen rising rates, and further infrastructure spending could drive costs higher unless carefully managed. So the bottom line, Pennsylvania has the ingredients to become America's next AI powerhouse, but delivering 24/7 power at scale will require hard choices about infrastructure funding, rate design, and long-term energy policy.
Thanks, Johannes. And a Vermont lawmaker has been selected to co-lead a national task force on artificial intelligence policy. It's part of a nationwide effort by Future Caucus to arm state lawmakers with knowledge and expertise on AI. Bradford Democratic Rep. Monique Priestley co-chairs the task force and says her focus is to learn more about how AI impacts consumer protection and data policy. Right now, AI is touching everything that we are interacting with. It's used in software that determines if you can get a loan, if you can get an apartment, or whether or not you qualify for different education. Your healthcare is largely impacted by artificial intelligence, Priestley said. The task force will connect lawmakers with expert voices in the industry and create a first-of-its-kind bipartisan state AI policy memo to guide policymakers across the country. Johannes, this makes a lot of sense to me, but what are your thoughts, and do you feel that more states will follow suit?
Sure, Tiffany. So this topic falls in the category of what just happened. So Vermont Representative Monique Priestley and Utah Representative Doug Fifia are co-chairing the new National Task Force on State AI Policy, launched by Future Caucus to give Gen Z and millennial lawmakers practical tools, briefings, expert networks, and bipartisan policy memo to tackle AI in areas like consumer protection, education, and healthcare. Why does this matter? Well, it's about bridging the knowledge gap. Many state houses lack in-depth AI expertise, yet decisions in finance, housing, and even medical care already rely on AI systems. Guarding against bipartisan gridlock. So by design, this task force keeps policy focused on problem solving, not party lines. And this program is creating a playbook. The upcoming bipartisan memo will serve as a template for states to draft balanced, forward-looking AI laws. Will more states follow suit? Absolutely. Colorado and Connecticut have already advanced comprehensive AI bills, and at least 39 states have broader AI-related legislation in place. The growing concerns, data privacy to algorithmic bias, are pushing legislatures from coast to coast to form AI task forces to study committees of their own. Bottom line, Priestley's leadership in Vermont marks the start of a wave. Armed with expert guidance and a ready-made policy framework, more states will almost certainly set up their own AI task forces this year, transforming how state governments govern the fast-moving world of AI.
Thank you, Johannes. And the Abu Dhabi government has launched its newest digital strategy, aiming to transform the emirate into the world's first fully artificial intelligence-powered government by 2027. Led by the Department of Government Enablement, Abu Dhabi, or the DGE, in collaboration with the Emirates' other government entities, the program will allocate $13 billion, which is 3.5 billion US, between 2025 and 2027 to boost digital infrastructure, automate 100% of government processes, and integrate sovereign cloud computing across all operations. 100% of government processes. Wow. And the strategy emphasizes citizen empowerment through AI training under the AI for All program, while introducing more than 200 AI-driven solutions to government sector services. It aims to streamline operations with a unified enterprise resource planning platform and ensure robust security frameworks. Johannes, what risks are associated with Abu Dhabi's push for the first fully AI native government?
Well, there are several key risks of Abu Dhabi's all AI native government. First of all, data privacy and sovereignty. Centralizing all citizen and service data on a sovereign cloud raises the stakes for breaches or misuse of personal information. And then job displacement. Automating 100% of government workflows could eliminate many public sector roles, putting thousands at risk without clear reskilling plans. And then we have the ethical and governance gaps. With no binding regulatory framework, only high-level guidelines, there's potential for ethics washing and limited accountability when AI systems make mistakes. And then, of course, we have the security vulnerabilities. An AI-powered, unified ERP and cloud backbone becomes a prime target for cyber attacks. A single breach could cripple multiple services. And then we have algorithmic bias and over-reliance. Pervasive AI decision-making risks embedding systemic biases into every public sector, from healthcare triage to permit approvals. The bottom line, Abu Dhabi's vision is bold, transforming governance through AI promise, but without robust privacy protections, clear regulatory guide rails, and cybersecurity defenses, the initiative could introduce as many new vulnerabilities as efficiencies.
Anecdotal reports of AI-induced psychosis from friends and family have been documented, with a startling number of people who have developed grandiose and paranoid delusions emerging in the context of conversations with AI chatbots like ChatGPT. And if cases occurring in those without mental illness are confirmed, then the term AI-induced psychosis would be accurate. But if the cases are occurring in those who have been diagnosed with mental illness, it is considered AI-associated psychosis. Large language models have a tendency to agree with the user in a flattering manner, as they are designed to give predictive responses as if they're meaningful communications from other human beings. The issue is that they are not necessarily designed to give accurate responses, and AI chatbots have been documented to sometimes generate plagiarized content, fabricated citations, and misinformation in the form of AI hallucinations that don't necessarily reflect facts or even reality. If AI chatbots are guilty of telling people what they want to hear, that leaves us with two important puzzles about AI associated psychosis. First, why are users asking chatbots philosophical questions in the first place, like what is the evidence that God exists, or are we living in a computer simulation? It's certainly possible that some are asking such questions in the midst of an existential crisis of some kind, questioning their lives, identities, relationships, or even the nature of reality itself. In such cases, AI chatbots might be giving them a push they don't really need, leading them into delusions. This supports the notion of AI exacerbated psychosis. And the next puzzle to be answered is if people are getting psychophantic answers, including AI hallucinations that represent misinformation, in response to such queries, why do they accept them as facts? And even buy into them to the point of delusion and even deification that is treating AI chatbots as if they're gods, prophets, or oracles. So, Johannes, there have been studies about these theories. Can you tell us more about them?
Sure, Tiffany. And I've summarized several key studies that are shedding light on the deification and AI-associated psychosis. So the first study provides a conceptual warning. A Schizophrenia Bulletin editorial by Søren Østergaard argued that AI's human-like responses can create cognitive dissonance, fueling delusions, in those predisposed to psychosis. Then there was an METR randomized trial. Investigators at Model Evaluation and Threat Research had experienced programmers use AI to code. Although users believed AI cut task time by 20%, actual completion time were 20% slower, demonstrating overconfidence and early self-deception toward AI's powers. And another example is the trust and device experiment. An experimental study found that participants who attributed intelligence, not merely human likeness, to chatbots were far more likely to follow their advice. This shows that seeing AI as superintelligence primes users for deification. And last example, there were case series review and recent interdisciplinary preprint compiled over a dozen anecdotes of users developing messianic or godlike beliefs about AI chatbots, highlighting how prolonged immersion and deification can entrench grandiose and paranoid delusions. The bottom line, these early findings, and I'm pretty sure there are going to be more in the near future, suggest that when users overestimate AI's capabilities or treat chatbots as oracles, as you mentioned, they risk reinforcing or triggering psychotic thinking, making deification a crucial factor to monitor.
Thanks, Johannes. And over 40% of agentic AI projects will be canceled by the end of 2027 due to escalating costs, unclear business value, or inadequate risk controls, according to Gartner. Most agentic AI projects right now are early stage experiments or proof of concepts that are mostly driven by hype and are often misapplied, said Anushree Verma, Senior Director Analyst at Gartner. This can blind organizations to the real cost and complexity of deploying AI agents at scale, stalling projects from moving into production. They need to cut through the hype to make careful strategic decisions about where and how they apply this emerging technology, she said. And many vendors are contributing to the hype by engaging in agent washing, the rebranding of existing products such as AI assistants, robotic process automation, and chatbots without substantial agentic capabilities. Gartner estimates that only about 130 of the thousands of agentic AI vendors are real. Most agentic AI propositions lack significant value or return on investment, as current models don't have the maturity and agency to autonomously achieve complex business goals or follow nuanced instructions over time, said Verma. continuing that many use cases positioned as agentic today don't require agentic implementations. And in this early stage, Gartner recommends agentic AI only be pursued where it delivers clear value or ROI. Integrating agents into legacy systems can be technically complex and often disrupting workflows that are requiring costly modifications. And in many cases, rethinking workflows with agentic AI from the ground up is the ideal path to successful implementation. So, Johannes, we mentioned this in our recent State of AI panel discussion and also highlighted that 75 to 80% of IoT projects are still failing. So, why do you feel that companies are rushing to invest in AI when the return is not clearly defined?
Well, first of all, thank you for this question, Tiffany. And let me take a step back and walk you through why I think companies are rushing to invest in AI. First of all, we are in an AI revolution. In just 2.5 years, ChatGPT rocketed from niche experiment to global household name. No technology has ever crossed that chasm so quickly. Organizations feel enormous pressure to keep pace, and that urgency sets the stage for every new AI wave. So let me introduce the analytical frameworks that I've been using to make sense of what's happening. I'm leaning on two classic frameworks: Rogers' Diffusion of Innovations, which tracks adopters from innovators through the early majority and, of course, onwards to the laggards, and then Gartner's Hype Cycle, where technologies peak in inflated expectation before descending into the trough of disillusionment. Together, they help us see why fatigue and hype often travel side by side. So, where are we today? Generative chatbots like ChatGPT, Claude, and Copilot have slid in the trough of disillusionment in Gartner's Hype Cycle. This reflects their mainstream adoption. In Rogers' model, the early majority is where the models are right now, and the early majority is embracing the technology. But that group, that cohort, demands mature, plug and play solutions with a clear ROI. In contrast, AI agents came later. This is the year of the AI agents. They are one step behind the chatbots in the Gartner model, and the AI agents are perched atop the peak of inflated expectations, fueled by demos, press releases, and agent washing. Gartner's forecast that over 40% of these projects will be killed by 2027 flows directly from that mismatch. So, why do companies jump in anyway? First of all, future proofing. We know that AI agents are inevitable. So early pilots buy extra runway to iron out the wrinkles. And then there is a significant amount of user enthusiasm. Mainstream comfort with chatbots creates a halo effect. Stakeholders want to believe that agents deliver next level gains. And then, of course, there's always strategic positioning. Claiming the innovation mantle can unlock first mover advantages in both top line growth and operational efficiency. So now it comes down to navigating the pitfalls. Technical complexity looms large. Integrating agents into legacy stacks often requires ground up workflow redesigns. On the organizational side, governance, risk tolerance, and change management hurdles can stall pilots. Gartner's advice is clear: pursue agentic AI only where you can demonstrate tangible value and be prepared for significant engineering and cultural lifts. Conclusion: time your journey. We are at a crossroads where inflated expectations meet real world rigor. If you decide to pilot an AI agent, anchor it in a solid business case, map out integration and governance from day one, and give yourself a long runway to iterate. That way, you'll avoid the common traps and set your project up for sustainable success.
Thank you, Johannes. And that is all the news that we have time for today. So be sure to register for the Summit of Things coming up this October. And the 3-day virtual event will feature a variety of panel discussions, keynotes, and fireside chats on AI, IoT, and other advanced technologies. So get your ticket to attend and inquire about our speaking, sponsorship, and advertising opportunities at iotmktg.com. And if you haven't done so already, please be sure to watch all the incredible sessions featured in the Intelligent Thinking AI Summit. And you can also gain access to watch all of those sessions on demand, also at iotmktg.com. We also have services available, marketing services, thought leadership packages, all kinds of things that we would like to discuss with you. So reach out to us. We'd love to hop on a call and see what your goals are for this year and beyond. Any final thoughts as we wrap things up, Johannes?
Just to reiterate what you already mentioned, says we have a very strong summit coming up, the Summit of Things, and we already have a very strong lineup, and we keep adding very strong keynotes to that lineup already. And we'll, at the same time, we check out our website, iotmktg.com. And as I mentioned before, we are preparing a new website, TechScope Connect, and we'll see more of that in the coming weeks. Back to you, Tiffany.
Thanks, Johannes, and thank you all for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Tiffany. Bye-bye.